You see the line all the way back. They're trying to get masks. It's pretty crazy. Wow. Hey guys, my name is Moses Kim and welcome to Inside the Korean Mind. South Korea has been commended with how it's responded to the virus. I just wanted to shoot out 5 practical advice of what to do during this virus. I was just talking to a friend from the US. He actually lives in Alaska, and he was telling me about the impact that this virus is already having in his community. So I just wanted to, having gone through it a little bit earlier than the rest of the world living in Korea, and how South Korea has been commended with how it's responded to the virus. Korea right now is on the recovering period. I hope the numbers have gone down to 2 digits. I think it's going between 2 digits to 3 digits, but it's gotten a lot better. The spread of the virus has gone down. So yeah, I just wanted to, for friends, for families, for whoever, if it's your first time checking out my channel, I just wanted to give you advice of how to deal practically with the virus. So the first thing that I want to talk about is whether to wear masks or not. I know that this has been a debate for a long time, not just in the medical world, but also within different communities as well. When the virus was still within certain parts of Asia, such as China and South Korea, many people, especially I've noticed in the West, were saying, you don't need to wear masks. Coronavirus is just a cold. The chances of getting it, even if you don't wear a mask, is the same as if you wore the mask. Now, once again, I'm not going to get into the medical aspects of it, but in South Korea, when the coronavirus was at its peak, or even before that, most of the people wore masks. The reason for that was, of course, first, for your personal safety. Also, secondly, it was for the people around you, because research shows that the period that the virus could be in a person's body and not show symptoms could last up to 2 to 3 weeks. So that's a long time. Even before you start coughing or before you even have a fever, that's a long time to not see the symptoms. So by wearing a mask, if you're coughing, or as you know, the disease is airborne, it survives in the air. So it was mostly to protect those around you as well. So just practical advice with the mask is, if you have them, I know it can be difficult to find masks depending on where you are at. In Korea, the government has implemented a 5-digit mask system where for each person, or if you're a green card resident, or if you are a foreigner, everyone had an opportunity to buy 2 masks per week. Yeah, my advice with the mask is, if you have them, if you can get access to them, please wear them. I know that by wearing the mask, maybe it won't help you too much, especially in open spaces, but especially in crowded places, I can assure you definitely that it will increase the chance of preventing the spread of the disease, either from another person to you, or from you to others. I mean, once again, the numbers might not back it up. The medical research might say it doesn't help much, but the matter of the fact is the disease has spread between members who did not wear masks more often, such as in families, or in churches, or in gatherings where people did not wear masks. So does wearing a mask help you prevent spreading the virus on a personal level? Maybe not, I'm not sure. But on a group level, from a community perspective, if you are the one that has a virus and it does not show for weeks, then at least you're protecting others and decreasing that chance of spreading that virus. My second advice is about going outside. Many people are asking online, what should I do? Should I go outside? Am I able to jog? Can I go outside to get some groceries or essentials? And just from the past experiences here of what Korea's been going through, the news and the reports of cases where coronavirus has been spreading, there hasn't been much of spreading in public open spaces such as parks or the beach. Of course, I haven't looked into each case, and I don't want to say it's 100% safe, but for the most part, articles are saying that it's safe to be outdoors. So, yes, I would say take caution, but at the same time, don't be too paranoid that you are, stuck in your house and you won't be able to do anything. I would say, go to the park with your family. Make sure if you have masks, you have masks on, and you keep a social distance, which is a minimum distance with other people, maybe 2 meters, or creating that personal bubble for yourself and for your family to lower the risk of spreading the virus. And yes, research does say that the virus can be spread through surfaces. So even if you're outside, I would say just make sure that that you don't try to touch, just don't go around touching everything like the rail or the part, the swings. And I would say keep that to a minimum, and once you come back home, make sure you wash your hands. When Korea was at its peak for the spread of the virus, a lot of people were in panic mode. They were just staying home, they weren't going out at all. But after that's kind of gotten better, people started to come out to the parks, to the beaches, because you can't just be a hermit forever and stay in your house forever. You got to live your life too. But yeah, many of the cases that were being reported were not of cases that were infected from open spaces, from parks, but they were mostly from indoors where a lot of people had gathered together, such as weddings, funerals, or church services. So yeah, my advice would be to go out. If you have a mask, wear your mask and go out with your family. Just make sure you don't touch surfaces too much. More than about going outside, I think it is important to try to avoid crowded places where there's a lot of people. As once again in Korea, the many cases that were reported where a mass of people were infected were in gatherings that were in enclosed in spaces. The third advice is about hygiene. I would say that in South Korea, ever since the coronavirus hit, everyone is obsessed about hygiene, about being clean. And as a Korean guy, I can attest to you that before the coronavirus, there were a lot. I don't want to say most, but I didn't do any scientific study or research on this matter. But I would say from observation, a lot of the Korean guys would not wash their hands after using the bathroom. But I can assure you, after the coronavirus, mostly everyone is washing their hands after using the bathroom. Everyone is rubbing their hands with hand sanitizer, and the awareness for personal hygiene has gone up as research shows that as important as masks are, if you wash your hands at least 30 seconds in running water with soap, then that increases your chance of preventing the spread of the virus. So that has been a huge change within the Korean people's mindset as well. So my advice for you with hygiene is, if you've gone outside inevitably and you come home, make sure you take a shower, make sure you wash your hands right away before making contact with your loved ones, with your children, with your spouse. And I think that's just a common sense. The fourth thing that I want to talk about is what if you have symptoms? What if you have a little cough, you have a mild fever? Then I would say, don't take it lightly. Make sure if you can get access. I don't know if your country or the area that you are in has local access to free testing or paid testing, but make sure you get it tested as soon as possible. But before you can actually get tested, you're still in your house with your family, right? A lot of the cases that have spread in Korea have been through direct contact within family members or loved ones or close friends. Some of the more commended cases have been where a family member has suspected that they had gotten the virus, so they had isolated themselves when they had the symptoms of the virus, even going to the extent of separating themselves from their family and going to a to a vacant house or some other place to make sure that this possible virus that they had would not be spread to their family members. And there have been cases of individuals in Korea that have done that in the past months, and they have been praised for how they dealt with it. So you know, it's easy to think, oh, you know, it's just coronavirus, it's just a slight cold, and chances are my family is not gonna catch it. But chances are, if you have it, they are going to catch it. It is a very contagious virus, as you all know. So I would say, for my fourth advice of, if you have symptoms, take extreme measures if you are suspect to have the virus, even if it's just a little sniff, or if you have a mild fever. Until you can get it tested, make sure that you isolate yourself, whether it's in one of the rooms in your house, or if you have a place that you can go by yourself. I know it could be sad to be separated from your family, but in the long run, that is the way to protect your family and your loved ones. And the fifth and final advice that I want to give is the attitude that we should have during this crisis. I think, as I'm pretty individualistic as well. I've lived and have been influenced a lot with a Western culture myself, but I feel like this is a time where we really have to stick together, where we really have to put others in the community before our interest, even if it means, giving up our individual freedom. I think we need to question ourselves at this point. At what cost do I want to pursue this right, this inalienable right of individual freedom? At what cost? At the cost of my family, the cost of my community, at the cost of my country. Once again, I'm not trying to boast about what Korea has done. I'm not saying, we are the best country, we have the best culture. No, it's nothing like that. This is not a propaganda video, but what I do believe is one of the reasons why Korea did such a good job of dealing with the virus was this community mentality, where at the end of the day, when it counts, the people had this mentality of coming together as a people and putting others' interests before your own. Now, not everyone was like that, of course, but there have been many examples, such as the 900 medical staff of doctors, nurses, and volunteers that had gone to Daegu, one region that was heavily affected by the virus, that volunteered to go, leaving their families behind, putting themselves at risk of getting the virus. In which case, many of the medical staff did catch on the virus. And also many people giving masks to the police officers, to those who were in the front lines fighting the virus as well. And many of the public servants that were putting their life at risk, working overtime, not being able to go home for days, for weeks, and even to the point where one public servant had died, had passed away, because they had worked so hard to try to overcome this issue. Once again, not to boast about what Korea is doing, this, that, and blah, yada, 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 but just, I think at this time of crisis, we need to think more about our own personal interests, more about just our family interests, but how can we respond as a community, as a city, as a nation, to overcome this crisis together? Not just because that is something noble or something, intrinsically the human thing to do, but I think also in terms of effectiveness, that will be the way we'll be able to overcome this virus together. If each person only looks after themselves, such as a mask, let's say, the chances of me catching a virus, even if I don't wear a mask, is the same. That's thinking from your individual self-interest. But if you think of the community and say, I'm gonna wear this mask, even though the chances of me getting the virus is the same, if it can in some way help not spread to the local community, then I'm gonna wear it, even though I might look ridiculous, or even if even if it is very uncomfortable, So that's just one example of, I think, the mindset or the attitude that we should have And also, one last thing, I think after the outbreak of the virus, there has been just a lot of hate, just a lot of racism amongst different people, amongst different groups, ethnic groups, and even amongst countries as well. Now, countries have to take appropriate measures, such as putting travel bans and limiting the number of immigrants or foreigners coming to the country. That's understandable, but I feel like this is not the time to foster hate. This is not the time to be pointing fingers where it started in China or Korea or wherever. You know, the reality is we are faced with this situation. The virus has become a pandemic. It's all over the world. I think the question shouldn't be where it started, but what can we do together to overcome this crisis. So I just want to end this video with a very cliche slogan, but yeah, let's not hate, but let's collaborate, let's appreciate, let's communicate, whatever a word that rhymes with 8 that has a positive message, let's do it, you know? So yeah, thank you for watching this video. Once again, please do not take my advice over professionals or your government's advice of what to do, but just from a Korean who has gone through this crisis over the past few months, I just wanted to give my 2 cents. I just wanted to give some practical advice of what to do as the panic is now hitting in parts of Europe and the US and the Western world as well. So guys, I hope all of you guys keep safe. Let's encourage one another, and yeah, we can get through this all together. So peace.